I like Nebraska. I've always liked Nebraska, but that's growing up in Oklahoma. That's being an Oklahoma fan. That's knowing what Nebraska looked like when, as Ahman Green once told me, they were running through your face. All right. With Matt Rhule, the vibe I get is the one that I got when Brent Venables was hired at Oklahoma in 2021. Everybody's on the program. Everybody wants that to work. Everybody likes the hire. As a matter of fact, I'm going to quote Mitch Sherman, who covers Nebraska for The Athletic, when he wrote, "Rhule has yet to coach a single practice, but he and his staff have gained more ground and won more hearts in the Huskers' home territory than any staff at Nebraska since Tom Osborne retired in 1997. More than 25 years has passed since Dr. Osborne just decided to up and get out of Nebraska, right? But it also demonstrates what kind of a guy Rhule is and the kind of guy that he was at Baylor, because he took over a terrible situation at Baylor and not only flipped it around, flipped it into the kind of team that plays in New Year's Six Bowls and 4 league championships in short order, right? Had his stint at Carolina, didn't go well, took this job at Nebraska, but he's doing all the things that he would do at a Baylor, at a Temple. He's added 40 scholarship players, but the thing to say about that is that he's taken those scholarship players to girls' high school basketball games in Nebraska. He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to show himself at those games, and yet he does. And he takes as many photos with as many people as will find him, and it is filling them with joy. They are over the moon. They are on his team. He is winning hearts and minds by doing exactly what we tell all the politicians to do. Go door to door, knock on the doors, kiss the baby, shake the hands, eat the bad sponge cake, and go on to the next, right? He's also taken a really great approach to Nebraska's high school football. Perspective here. Nebraska signed 6 of the top 10 recruits in the 2023 cycle this year. For perspective, not one of the top 4 recruits from the state in 2022 did. So you're winning battles that you would have lost. And I love this quote. Again, Mitch Sherman in The Athletic. "I can't let Danny Woodhead get away." Those are those of us that are of a certain age and know exactly what he's talking about. For those of you that do not, Danny Woodhead was a guy who played outstanding football in Nebraska. Decent to good is what most people thought, but good enough to get an offer from Nebraska, or so you would think, from Frank Solich or Bill Callahan or somewhere in the middle of that. But he did not. So where does he end up but Division II Chadron State, where he becomes one of the best tailbacks that anybody has ever seen, not playing on national television. And then he goes into the NFL and makes Nebraska look even worse by having a 10-year career where he's playing, among others, with Tom Brady and them and the New England Patriots, and being exactly that guy that you expected him to be at, say, a place like Nebraska, where you could just build the offense around him and what he does well. If you are keeping a lid on the state of Nebraska, yeah, you're going to get the next Danny Woodhead. And I think they might have one, right? I've talked about Malachi Coleman and what I think what he's able to do or could do at a place like Nebraska. It might not pop, but if he does, it'll be in a Huskers uniform. That's nothing to sneeze at. Last thing to say about Nebraska is Matt Rhule knows what the fix is, or what he has to fix, I should say. And it's not just the attitude and tenor of the program around the state. It's their offensive and defensive line play. They ranked 85th in rush attempts per game last year and 119th in rush yards allowed. Look, football, as much as we talk about it, is a simple sport. And if you can't stop the run, you're going to lose a lot of football games. I don't care how close they are. Now, when I said, will it be as good as Brent Venables? Will they have similar results at Nebraska? I think they'll take 6-6 at Nebraska, 6-7, if you will, but like 6-6, get into a bowl game. I think they would be over the moon to have the first season that Brent Venables had. It's just standard has been a little bit different in Oklahoma because Oklahoma hasn't fallen off for 25 years. We're talking about 25 years before someone not named Tom Osborne had made Nebraska fans feel good about being Nebraska fans. That's your first one, right? Now that you have the sort of momentum that Brent Venables had, I'm really interested to see what you can do with it. And you're going to be on a marquee game to start with, right? They got Colorado on their schedule in 2023. I'm really interested to see what those two personalities are going to do, Matt Rhule and Coach Prime. And for what it's worth, Coach Prime, Matt Rhule, Brent Venables, all very complimentary of each other. Even Brent Venables going out of his way to say, I do it differently, but I like the way he does it because the message is the same, right? The standard is the standard. You're going to do this in a manner befitting the university that you represent. When you have that sort of understanding, knowing that those guys go at it from a different philosophy, you're going to see some outstanding football. You just are. So I'm excited for that. Excited for Nebraska. I want you to figure it out. I want Matt Rhule to do well. I also, getting back to a ceiling, would like to see some breakthrough here. So let's go to Penn State. Talk about their ceiling. Talk about what's next for them. So the question that I have here is Penn State's quarterback, Drew Allar, the player we think he is? Man, if he is, good luck. Now, he'll be their first starter since 2019, not named Sean Clifford, which is saying a lot because Sean Clifford felt like a guy who wouldn't graduate. And yet, and still, he was that guy, right? Now, going into the Big Ten championship game in 2021, when Iowa and Michigan were playing, I did this live tailgate with Producer Cat, among others, where I sat between Braylon Edwards and Devin Gardner, and we were chopping it up. But in the ride over, Devin Gardner's quarterback in Michigan, he wanted to talk about quarterback play with me. And he had asked me, yo, dog, what do you think about Drew Allar? And I was like, I'm not sure, dog. Like, he's tooly, he's big. He's like, what if I told you he was the best quarterback I saw at Elite 11? That was 2 years ago. And for him to say that, remember, that 2022 Elite 11 class includes Cade Klubnik, Devin Brown, Quinn Ewers, Connor Weigman, Walker Howard, Nick Evers, and Ty Simpson. That's guys slated to start or competing to start in 2023 at Clemson, Ohio State, Texas, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Wisconsin, and Alabama. That's not too shabby. And you've seen what it looks like when he has the ball in his hands. The ball is absolutely flying out of his arm, and he is a capable runner. So Penn State was able to get to a Rose Bowl and win a Rose Bowl with a quarterback in Sean Clifford who completed just 64% of his passes for 2,800 plus yards and 24 TDs in 2022. I think that's the floor for Drew Allar. I really do. I think if he is a guy that can hit that, they are not just an 11-win team. They have an opportunity to break through that ceiling. Can you beat Michigan? Can you beat Ohio State? Can you get to the Big Ten championship game? I think he gives them that opportunity. And he's got two great tailbacks in Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, who will protect him. In the summer, they get Dante Cephas, who helped put Sean Lewis on the map. Sean Lewis, now the offensive coordinator at Colorado, was the head coach at Kent State. Cephas had 82 catches for 1,240 yards in 2021. And in overtime in last year, 2022, against Ohio, he accounted for 13 passes caught, 246 yards receiving. I believe that was the second best tally all year by any wide receiver. Now, some Mitch Tinsley vibes to this, but you get my point here, right? If you got those kind of guys on the outside that can catch the ball, you got those kind of guys in the backfield that can run the ball, you're not going to be asked to do very much. And the way that I tend to put this is he has a car that he can win with, all right? What I want to know is when Drew Allar gets in the car, are we going to be some Max Verstappen clapping? Because that's what it's about, right? In this particular analogy, Mercedes is Ohio State, is Michigan. Red Bull is Penn State. I think you got the driver for your car. I think you can go chase down a 2021 championship. And if you can do that, you can chase down a 22 championship. I'm talking about F1, not college football. In 2023, you're looking at perhaps what Red Bull was able to accomplish in 2021. You watch Drive to Survive. You know it's coming out on Friday. You're going to allow me some F1 talk because you know I love this stuff. All right. Some more stuff that I love. Iowa football, man. I love me some Iowa football. I get fired up about a rock fight. Like, my producer Tyler and I have it out about this all the time because I watched South Dakota State and Iowa, and I was riveted. I was riveted because defense, baby, defense, baby, defense, baby. Now, I don't want to play in that game because I'm a quarterback. I want to throw the rock. I want to throw the rock 500 yards. I'm looking at BJ Simmons going, why can't I do that at Texas Tech, right? On the flip side, if I got to watch it, yeah, I'll watch y'all pick up rocks and bash each other in the skulls with it because that's what the Iowa defense does. For 2 consecutive years, Iowa has had one of the 2 best defenses in football, to my mind. One is at Georgia, back-to-back national championships, and the other one's over there. I mean, what Jack Campbell did last year, people just don't realize what Cooper DeJean was about. what Riley Moss was about, what Seth Benson was about. And then I was probably way too early on this, so we're going to hit it again this year. Aaron Graves is a unit. I'm going to have so much fun watching that dude play in Phil Parker's defense, who, by the way, is, I think, just at Iowa by his good graces now. And I mean, I don't even think that dude's making more than $650,000 a year to be a defense coordinator. I tend to think that he's a little bit more valuable than that, but I'm not trying to, drive up the price on him as much as I'm just saying he's slept on. So what do you need at Iowa to go with your outstanding all-world defense? You need an offense with a pulse, which gets me back to the rock fight, right? So Cade McNamara announced that he was transferring to Iowa with great fanfare. And you know what you're getting in a guy like Cade McNamara. You're getting a guy that's going to complete the ball. He's not going to throw the ball away. He's going to keep the sticks moving. He's not going to wow you with overpowering the ball down the field or, going deep all the time. He's going to get you in and out of good plays. That's exactly the kind of football that Iowa wants to play. Now, he was the ceiling for Michigan, I think, right? J.J. McCarthy gives them a vertical threat and a running threat they just lacked with McNamara. But with McNamara, you have a capable leader, a hard-nosed guy, and a dude that really wants to win football games more than he wants to do anything else. Matter of fact, Cade McNamara goes on a podcast and says out loud, please keep calling it the worst offense in college football. And I'm like, you're saying that like it's not a fact. It's a fact, Cade. It's a fact. Hey, that's not an opinion. Nobody's yelling that Iowa's offense is the worst in football because it wasn't. It's because I stopped talking there because I'm getting loud. And sometimes when I get loud, the message gets lost. So I'm going to back down just a little bit. Iowa finished 130th in the nation in total yards per game last year. There are 131 teams in college football. One of them is New Mexico State. You get my point here? 251 yards of total offense game ain't going to get it done, son. That's not going to help you. And they managed to win 7 games without an offense, basically, man. Like, I understand they were able to run the ball some, right? Caleb Johnson being what he is and whatnot. But I'm at an Ohio State game with producer Tyler. We watched Alex Padilla and Spencer Petras throw back-to-back interceptions. Like, nobody wanted to play quarterback. You know what I mean? I know they wanted to play quarterback, but you get what I'm saying here, right? You need to be able to believe in that. And you had guys like Charlie Jones on that offense that you didn't do anything with. This is the reason why we had a bit on this show where we needed to talk about Brian Ferentz maybe kind of sort of getting a raise, but not really, because that's what it's become at Iowa. As I said before, as the season goes on, Iowa fans, tweet at me your animosity. I hear you. I see you. I know this is your team and there's nothing you can do about it. But Cade McNamara gives me hope for you. If you get a pulse and you get to be a team that can put up 400 yards of offensive game, there's no reason to believe you're not playing another Big Ten championship game with an opportunity to win it that year, because you're just that good defensively. And if you can score non-offensive touchdowns the way that Iowa defense can, you have an opportunity to play for championships. So from there, I want to go from the worst offense literally in the Big Ten this century to an offense I think could really surprise the hell out of some people at Wisconsin. Like, I'm fired up to see what they got going on in Madison in 2023, because Luke Fickell has decided he has come for your neck all out the gate, man. Now, we knew what Luke Fickell was about at Ohio State. We knew what Luke Fickell was about at Cincinnati, but now he's got all of the resources of an Ohio State, of a Michigan, of a Penn State to go hunting. And that's exactly what he has done. So the question that I have for you is, with Luke Fickell, Phil Longo, Tanner Mordecai, and Braylon Allen, my God, right? Is Wisconsin close to operating at its 2019 level? And I would say out the gate, yes. I also think it is very interesting what we might see coming out of Wisconsin in as far as offensive production in 2023. I think it's going to be like unlike anything you've ever seen in a Wisconsin Badgers uniform. I'm excited about it because Longo, Mordecai, and Allen can perhaps marry air raid concepts and passing attack with the traditional dominance on the ground of a Wisconsin run game and a back like Braylon Allen to look a lot like not 2019 Wisconsin, but 2019 Oklahoma. All right. You remember 2019 Oklahoma? I remember 2019 Oklahoma, or 2018 Oklahoma, or 2017 Oklahoma. Matter of fact, make it 2017 Oklahoma, right? Because the quarterbacks look similar. Tanner Mordecai, mostly brought in to be another version of Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma. Spencer Rattler wins the job. Tanner Mordecai eventually transfers to Southern Methodist. But while he was on that team in 2019, but if we take it back to 2017, you're talking about teams that routinely put up 300 yards rushing and 300 yards passing, period. Didn't matter who they were playing. It was a matter of, can the defense just keep everybody else in check? Because the offense is going to put up 45 a game. What if you had that at Wisconsin? That's what I'm saying. You're nearly there, just with the staff that you have and the personnel you're going to have on the field. I also think it's important to say that unlike 2017 Oklahoma, or basically 2017 Oklahoma through 2021 Oklahoma, you've got a defensive coordinator at heart running the game. And I think that matters, right? Because Lincoln Riley's predecessor, a fellow by the name Bob Stoops, college football Hall of Famer, won a national championship in 2000. He's a defensive mind who had a really great eye for clock management and really was having his eyes on the defense most of the time, while also letting his offensive coordinators operate. I don't care what you run, as long as you run it well and we score a bunch, okay? I think you're going to have that in a Luke Fickell. I also think that you're going to see some formations a lot out of Longo's offense. You're going to see a lot of one tight end, one back formations, and that's probably going to first, feel odd to you because you're used to two tight end sets and grounding out the ball with a guy that wants to carry the rock 40 times in a game. But he ran that 33 times per game at UNC, and then you talk about 70 plays. That's a lot, right? But the other thing to say about Phil Longo here is I love telling the story. Mac Brown is coming out of being a television analyst, and he's going to be the head coach at UNC. And at the time, Lincoln Riley, best offensive mind in football. Still top 2 offensive mind in football. The other, I think, is Ryan Day, but you get my drift here. He asked Lincoln Riley, Mac, who would you go get to be your offensive coordinator? And Mac was pointed to Phil Longo. So he went to go get Phil Longo. And Phil Longo has produced a quarterback that is now going to be under the tutelage of one Eric Bieniemy. Goodness. Washington, you just lucking into good fortune by somebody else's misfortune, but that's for an NFL podcast. Phil Longo also went from Sam Howell to Drake May. Now, I'm still trying to figure out Drake May because I see the tools. Okay? See the tools. I also saw him play against NC State. I'm trying to figure that part out. Okay? I'm not all in on Drake May. I watched the Holiday Bowl. Still not all in on Drake May. I get that some of y'all are, but I thought that a guy that was flipping from Alabama to UNC, I don't care where his daddy went to school, is a big deal in the 21st century. That means, one, you can play, and two, Phil Longo can recruit. So now he's got Tanner Mordecai and Nick Evers on his depth chart. Wisconsin fans, as an Oklahoma fan, you're welcome. You're welcome raiding my cupboard like that. Come on now. Now, Tanner Mordecai, I think, is tailor-made to run this offense. He knows what it's supposed to look like. He knows how it can operate. He's got the arm to do it. But I'm going to put it to you in some numbers. He threw for 3,524 yards, 33 TDs, 400 out of 443 pass attempts. He completed like 288 of those at Southern Methodist. Slow down, RJ. You're talking too fast. If he duplicated those numbers, like down to the last digit, he would have broken records at Wisconsin for single season in completions, pass attempts, pass yards, just by doing what he did at SMU. You also can add this into it. The single season TD passing record at Wisconsin is 39. Oh, excuse me, it's 33. It's 33. My bad. 33, because Tanner Mordecai would have tied that too. Now, he threw 39 TD passes in 2021, which means that he would have broken Russell Wilson's record in 2011 of 33. I set that up. I fumbled it at the end, but you get my point. The point there being, it's a lot of points that I think you're going to see scored. And if you can score a bunch of points and you can play defense, you have an opportunity to beat the upper echelon teams in your conference, which is what Wisconsin wants to do, right? It's a team we're still waiting to basically get to where Penn State is now, right? Can you compete and win a championship? Can you get past, these Ohio States, these Michigans of the world, and try to give yourself an opportunity to play for a playoff, right? I also think on the other side of the ball, you're going to see some more stuff that's just going to get on your nerves. Mike Tressell's being brought in to be defensive coordinator, but he runs the defense that you're going to have to take some time with. It's a 3-3-5 stack. Okay. All right. Texas Christian runs 3-3-5 stack. You can win a lot of football games with it. TCU did. You see how it can work when it works well. You're used to 3-4 heavy personnel, sometimes even a 2-4-5, but your outside linebackers are basically defensive ends. We could talk about schematics and all of that, and we talk about personnel, how they deploy it. But what you should know is it's built to stuff run and to give you some advantages on the outside that allow for you to take over inside. So you're going to see lots of stunts. You're going to see lots of guys trying to split defenders. It's going to operate and look a lot like single gap scheme, which means you're trying to split offensive linemen rather than just plug the holes. But you're just not going to like looking at it. And I think once you get past that and it gives you the results that you like, married with that offense, you're putting up a bunch of points, you win a bunch of games, you become a 9-10 win team out the box, you're going to be okay with this. It's going to be fine. And he's going to have a 6-year linebacker in CJ Goetz to help him get all of this message out in front, right? I think that is very important. Once you get the personnel to buy into why the stack can work for them, and then it's frankly just a lot more fun than most other defenses. I mean, you're going to be blitzing all the time. It's kind of fun because it's not really a blitz. You just bring in 4. It just feels like a blitz. Anyway, point there is they're going to be playing with eyes of the quarterback, and they're going to try to get some cheap interceptions. And that's a great way to try to play in the Big Ten, where if you can stop the run, you can win a lot of football games. Again, see Iowa. So those are my questions for the Big Ten going into the spring. I'm sure you have questions. Please send them to us at the #1 show at Instagram, on Twitter, on the Facebooks. We enjoy your engagement. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.